So I'm playing a flute that I've had for a little while now, and it's made by, I don't think you can see. It's really hard to see. It doesn't show up very well. His name is Casey Burns, and actually there it is, but it's backwards because this is an iPhone. And it's made out of, as you can see, African blackwood. It's got a really nice embouchure hole. It's actually quite large, but it's good. And you can see it's his simplified folk flute. And there's the first finger hole, second finger hole, third finger hole. You can see how it's slightly angled. And that's because it's not the small, there's the fourth finger for the first finger for the right hand, second finger for the right hand, which is quite large, and then the third finger for the right hand. And of course, there's no key, so it's nothing on the foot joint at all, hence why it's one piece. And it's not his small finger hole, but it's not his traditional finger hole. It's kind of like somewhere in between, which is actually kind of nice for me since I've been playing so much modern flute. And it's actually quite a beautiful sounding flute. They're around $375. And I'm actually finally getting around to doing some stuff with it. But it's a nice, simple flute. It's a wonderful beginner flute, and it's actually something I've used. I used it in a concert in December. I had taken some stuff that Lorena McKennett had written, and I transcribed it and then rearranged it for flute, violin, piano, and double bass. But it's a beautiful flute, and it's got just a really nice warm sound. I've posted a few other things today, and one of them, of course, had an F natural in it. And F natural, unfortunately, you need a key to make an F natural really sound great. For those of you that don't know, this flute, which is kind of a very simplified or modified Rudel Rose flute, the fingering system is different than that of a modern flute. So instead of having, on a modern flute, you'd have your thumb down, first, second, third, first finger, and then a pinky. That would give you an F. On this flute, just like on a Baroque flute or a Renaissance flute or even a classical keyed flute, it actually gives you an F sharp. So in order to play an F natural on a keyed flute, you would have to include this finger, and then you need to open the pinky key, the D sharp or E flat key. But this doesn't have it. So you really can't play with a really nice F natural. You can, half pull a few things or change the angle of your air differently, but it still doesn't give you quite as good of a result as if having a D sharp key. But, the majority of the music that you play on a flute like this is in G major or D major, and it's very rare that you would need an F natural. And if you're playing with other musicians, you could let someone else play the F natural, and you can play another note in the chord. So here's just a little bit of the scale of the flute. And I did some close-ups of the embouchure so you could see. And it was just me kind of fooling around, kind of practicing a little bit on it. And also having if this had a D sharp / E flat key, it would make the high D better instead of having to use a harmonic. So what you heard me practicing just a little bit of was I was trying to learn Cregg's pipe on a flute like this instead of having to play it on a modern flute with a wooden head joint, which I normally play. So I'll play just a little bit more of it so you can kind of hear what I can do on this flute. Of course, people that play, traditional Irish music, of course, sound much better, but it's something that I'm getting into, and it's a lot of fun. So here's a little bit more. And that, I'm so not used to that, because in all my Baroque flute, Renaissance flutes, and my classical flute, period keyed flute, this tonal is so much smaller. So that's something that I'll have to get used to. So hope you enjoyed this. It was fun to do. So expect some more, interesting videos from me. Just little short things, playing a reel, a jig, or, some airs on this Casey Burns, what he calls his folk flute.